Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chris O Show. You could be listening to us on muskokaunlimited.com or on any of our social media channels. We're on Spotify. We do YouTube, and then some of our local media up here in Muskoka also play our shows on and off. 88.7 FM The Bay, got to shout them out, and your TV Muskoka, got to shout them out too because they're big supporters of the program and everything we do. Today, I have a very, very special guest, a lovely lady who I knew a long, 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 long time ago. Okay, maybe not that long ago, but
It is long, but don't
maybe,
age us, right?
yeah, I don't want to age us too much, but a long time ago, and we went to school together in high school when I was a young aspiring schmuck and didn't have a clue about life. And then we reconnected more on LinkedIn the last year or so. And she is wonderful, Julia Montesano. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. That's your married name, but thank you for
That's my
joining
married
us.
name. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, as we were talking about off air, you have recently done a little switch in the real estate game. And where are you doing now?
Yes, so I'm a realtor here in Toronto. My team is based out of Etobicoke. I'm with the Paul Nuska team, which is with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services West.
Mhm.
So I service all of the GTA and helping clients, big and small, helping them sort of achieve their dreams and goals.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And one of the things I love about what you do, especially with your socials and with some of your marketing promotion stuff you do, is you educate people. And what is it
Yeah.
about, being able to share real information, real time information often with potential clients that's so beneficial?
Well, it's helpful. Listen, buying a house or a property is one of the most stressful choices and acts of your life. And so I really feel like people need to be fully informed of what they're doing before they do it. And, things happen during a transaction. I'm working on something that's kind of the wheels are falling off the bus of it, but that's okay. But to go into it with your eyes wide open
Mhm.
is really, really important. And it takes a lot of the fear out of the process.
Yeah.
So I think for people to go in feeling well educated and well informed is really important for them to have sort of a calm way to make these decisions. So it's a stressful situation for anybody, but you can when you go into it and you feel kind of like you know what's about to happen, it's a lot more comforting for people. And I think that ultimately is a better outcome and experience. It for me too, and for them. So I think it's just better overall and better for the relationship going forward.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And when you start from a position like that where they're already like, all right, Julia has taught me something. I mean, it's a lot easier to build that relationship, wouldn't you find?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, a lot of people, you take for granted because we are in a time now where information is so easily available, but there's a lot of stuff that people don't know. And sometimes that's because maybe they haven't looked it up, but sometimes it's just you don't know what you don't know,
Yeah.
right? And so that's okay. And to have somebody who's been doing this for a little while, you can say, listen, the first thing I ask people is, are you working with a mortgage broker? And the simple reason is go to a mortgage broker because oftentimes you're going to get better rates through them than you will through the bank. They
Yeah.
have options and they can help you. And depending on what your circumstances are, they can tailor things to you and to what your life really needs. And I think that that's a really important thing.
Okay.
So, even just kind of setting the stage for people to say like, do you have all your bases covered, because it's an easier way to kind of get started.
Gotcha. Now, I like
Yeah.
that. I like that where you're not just talking about you're buying or selling stuff. You're not just talking about the property. You're saying, okay, well, have you planned your finances? Have you planned this? Have you planned that? You need to come to
Yeah,
the table with there's your checklist, kind of, right?
you have to. And I mean, the finances are critical. Listen, like especially with, the way that the stress test works is that, you need to have high affordability now. And so, it's important for people to understand where they are.
Mhm.
It's good for people to understand all of the costs. So just because you're buying a house, it doesn't mean that the transaction is the only cost. You
Yeah.
have closing costs, you have in some cases you have realtor fees, you have legal costs.
Yeah.
These are not insignificant. You have to hire movers,
Yeah.
so people really need to understand what is actually going to happen,
Yeah.
and I've been a buyer myself, and so I really understand how people need to hear this information, because it doesn't have to, it takes the fear out of it, and that makes things just a lot better for everybody, really.
No, and I love that because you're saying to them, and you're right. The more information, and when you've got this whole thing handled, you're saying, okay, we're handled. We've got
Yeah,
all our
we got
ducks
it.
in a row. We're good. And
Yep.
you're right about the fees because not everyone understands that. Like
No.
you just think, oh, here's my cost, and oh, I'll have to give a little bit of money to the realtor or whatever it is. But there's a buying and selling fee, and there's this fee, and there's that fee, and there's lawyers' fees,
Yeah.
and there's land
Yeah.
transfer taxes, and there's all kinds of stuff that can pop up, right?
Well, that's it. And also, like, if you're buying a condo, for example,
Ah,
the maintenance fees are sometimes quite high. So factor that in. Like, some of the older units can be more than your mortgage.
it's true.
So,
It's
you
true.
got to really feel like, really get it, because maybe you think, oh, on paper, it doesn't seem so bad. But once you're paying that plus your mortgage,
Yeah.
plus your some utilities, and
Yeah.
you're living, you have nothing left, and I don't think, in general, a real estate transaction is not, it's not for the short term. Typically, you have to look at these things over, let's say, a 4 to 5 year period to make those costs back. So, we pay land transfer here in Toronto, which is it's effectively double.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to factor those costs in to when you're going to sell to make that money back. That's really important for people, especially younger people who,
Yeah.
it's a first time home buy. Maybe they don't have a ton of money. So, what are you going to do to build some equity so that you can move on to the next thing?
Yeah, exactly. So that's another good point is, so when you're shopping and you're talking to people, especially like a first-time home buyer, you might say to them, hey, listen, you don't have as much as someone who's on their third home or second home or whatever. However,
Yep.
let's get you into this home in a nice neighborhood. And yes, you need to do some work to it, but that
Yep.
work is going to give you
Don't
the
be afraid.
right,
Yeah.
and that work's going
Yeah.
to give you the ROI on the back end, right? So
Yeah. Exactly. And people have to, even now, I have taken people into homes that are like brand new, beautifully built. And
yeah.
you know what? They always want to make changes.
Mhm.
So it's not just the fixer uppers. It's not any of these things. That's okay. That's
Yeah.
totally normal. And you want to make it feel like your own. But
Yeah.
get in there, live in it, see what you really need to do in the cases where that's possible. Sometimes people buy things that are, they need to renovate before they move in, so that's a different set of circumstances.
Yeah.
But this is more like, get in and see what you can do to increase that value. That's only going to pay off for you to live there, and when it comes time to sell, if you decide to do that,
Yeah.
that's going to translate into a lot more money, so
It's,
it's
it's
great.
true. It's true. It's true. 100%. And I love that you give that advice. And like you said, it's all about informing people, giving them advice. And if a realtor is not informing you or giving you advice, they're not doing their job, really. Let's not
No,
diss
exactly.
anybody, but it's true.
It's true. It's true. The thing is, as realtors, like, we have to be careful with the advice that we give.
Yeah.
I am not a licensed mortgage broker. I cannot provide that advice. Can I give you recommendations on some trusted people that I work with? Totally.
Yes.
Whoever you choose to work with, that's your choice. But here are the reasons why I'm suggesting to use the mortgage broker, or here are the reasons why I'm suggesting to look at these variety of options. You have to feel like you're making the best choice for yourself.
Yes.
I can give you my opinion, but ultimately it's really up to you. And, like, for me in this profession, I have to be careful with what I'm offering to people. I can't, I mean, my opinion doesn't count for all that much sometimes, and that's okay. But, like, you have to feel like you're really in control, and that you really get what's going on.
Yeah, 100%. And I like that you,
Yeah.
you kind of said that. It's like, you're not going to advise them on what windows they should buy or this or that, or who to choose for get their mortgage, but you're going to recommend that they talk to people about that. You're going to recommend
100%.
about,
Yep.
hey, listen, go talk to these people, and you'll probably jive with one, and one of them's going to help you out, and you're going to
Yep.
be happy and knowledgeable and feel, and feel confident going forward, right?
Totally. And the thing is, I have a number of people who I really trust, like lawyers and mortgage brokers and contractors. I can hook you up with anybody you need to know. But then ultimately it's up to you. And that's just it. And that's another kind of important thing is, like, you know, the bond between the client and the realtor is important. You are going to spend a lot of time either with me or talking with me, and fundamentally you need to like working with me. Otherwise it's not really that great, and it's like that in life and it's like that at work, but this is your choice. So find somebody that you're able to listen to that advice and you feel like it's really meant for you. You know what I mean? That they're listening to you and they're hearing everything that you're concerned about or that you need. And then that will feel like the right fit.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So let's switch tacks a little bit here, and let's say, so you're in the market, you're knowledgeable, like I said before, you share tons of information and you make sure people are informed. What are you seeing right now, let's say, to inspire confidence in people moving forward in the market?
Well, I mean, listen, real estate is always it's an investment.
Yes.
So, as I said earlier, I don't think that it can always be something that's a short-term investment. In some cases that really does work, but in this market right now, it's something, if you're looking to buy a condo, now's a great time.
Yes.
The units are just simply not moving right now. And that's for a number of reasons. And I think whatever they decide to tell us about this next rate announcement, it will either make people kind of feel confident or we're going to be holding. But it is a great time to buy a condo because stuff isn't selling, which means that you're going to get stuff at a better price.
Yeah.
But what's happening in the market is, there's a lot of transactions still happening.
Yeah.
So, it's most certainly not an unhealthy place to be. Is it sometimes taking longer to sell homes? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But they're selling and they're selling for, pretty reasonable prices. So, if you're looking to upsize, this is a good time, even though despite the rates being higher, I know that sometimes can really be a deterrent. And I totally understand that. But if you look at the money that you're saving on the home price,
Yes.
and then there's that bit of interest, like you have to really do the math. And that's going back to talking with that mortgage broker who can say to you, listen, Chris, here's what you can afford. Or if you're buying maybe a second property, here's how we can kind of, parse out the mortgage. So it's like some of it's maybe on like a home equity line of credit, or like they can do a lot to kind of make it work for you.
Yeah, 100%. And I like that you brought up second homes, because I think now more than ever, it's second homes that seem to still be like, they never go away, right? There's always the demand for that cottage property. Uh,
Yeah,
and you're right, it's taking a bit longer for things to move, but they're still moving,
they're
right?
still moving. Yeah, they're
So
still selling. There are a lot of people who have a lot of money.
it's true.
And that's a fact. And so they're still transacting and I think we talked about this even last week, is like your life is actually what dictates what you need. And what I mean by that is like your life is going on whether the rates are high or not.
Yeah.
So if you're having a baby or you change your jobs or there's an illness in the family, those are the things that are actually really going to drive what's going to happen for you and your family.
Yes.
So, the rates are the rates. And I think that, we've been in a bit of a squeeze for a long time. So people are definitely starting to feel it. At the same time, you know, your life is really what's dictating kind of your next steps, I think.
Yeah. No, and I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say, is what wherever you are is what makes sense
Yeah.
for you. Uh,
Yeah.
and I guess there are those of us who are lucky enough that we've had homes for a while, that we can kind of ride out the interest rates a little bit, or do
Totally.
short term deals. Like I just did a 1 year because my renewal was at the end of last year. So I
Okay.
did a 1 year because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, the rates are going to be lower, like
They
soon,
will. Yeah,
eventually,
they
right?
will. They
So,
will. Will
you
they
know,
ever go back to what we saw a few years ago? No, I don't
no,
think so. However, they will be lower than what they are today. So I think that's probably. And did you use a mortgage broker? I hope so.
no, because it was just a straight renewal, and I
Okay.
had shopped around a bit for other rates, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm doing a 1 year, and I've been, there's a lot of reasons why I didn't use a broker, but
Okay.
anyways,
Okay. Okay.
but I
Okay.
did shop prices around, and
Yeah.
but because of being in the media, I talked to so many
A lot
people,
of people.
and
Yeah.
I get so much, I hate to call it free advice, but I get a lot of advice from a lot of people, and
That's
I
okay.
listen, And so it's kind of like um everybody was telling me the same thing, everybody was
Yeah.
telling me the same rates, everybody was telling me the same stuff, and I was like, okay, just quick renewal with the bank that I'm with, 1 year, boom, and we'll figure it
Yeah.
out at the end of the year,
Yeah.
right?
But
So
you see, you did the right thing. You did your homework.
I did do my
So
homework. I did do
there
my
you
homework.
go. But that's the name of the game. Like understand what you're getting into and
Yeah,
then you make your choice. That's really what it comes down to, right? You
yeah,
feel good, you feel confident that you've kind of figured everything out and then you have to just make a choice.
yeah,
So,
100%.
perfect. Yeah.
100%. Now, are you hearing that there's properties that are, we're gonna keep on this tack because of where people are in their lives, right? This is
Yeah.
what I was
Yeah.
thinking. Are you hearing there are properties out there where some people maybe bought too much property during the height of the pandemic when everything went crazy,
Yeah.
and now they're like, oh my gosh, there's too much house for me or something?
Not necessarily that. It's more
Okay.
about affordability. You
Okay.
know, it's more about affordability, or sometimes those were spontaneous choices. And like, you know, going back a few years, the buying and selling was frenetic.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't good for the client, it wasn't good for me, it wasn't good, because
Yeah.
people are making these like wild choices and
Yeah.
overpaying in such a major way that it's just like, and you have minutes to make this multi-million dollar decision, which is insane. Like I think I spend more time shopping at Zara than I do about, but do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
one of those things. And so now I don't know that I would say that it's about my house is too big. It's more my mortgage is unaffordable to me right now. And now I
Yeah.
want to sell and I'm not going to make that money back. And
No.
like that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
So, it's not really, I don't think it's affecting anybody that I've worked with. But I have definitely been on the side where they're having trouble selling their home
Yeah.
to buy the next home, and we're already in a binding contract, so it's pretty tough. Like there are some people who are having to make some really difficult decisions and
Yeah.
leverage money that they probably didn't want to touch.
Yeah.
So, it's not that's not great. And I feel bad for people because, everybody thinks like, oh, they should have known, and I don't think any of us could have possibly known where things
No.
were headed, and, like,
Oh yeah.
you make as I said before, you make the choice at the time, and it felt like the right thing to do, and you can't feel regretful about stuff like that. Like, it's just everything is fixable, but sometimes it's just not the outcome that you were really hoping for, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And that's really thoughtful of you to say because it's true. Like at the time, people are making decisions with the information they have at that moment, right?
Totally.
And sure, it's so cliche, but hindsight is 2020. Sure, looking back,
Yeah.
but no one could tell what anything was going to happen at that time, right?
No,
you know,
no.
and there were some of us who were just content in what we had and we didn't
Yep.
need to move and we didn't have to do anything else because we just kind of were in a good spot. Now, not everybody was in that spot. Some people had to
Totally.
buy things, some people had to do things, some people had to move. And
Yep.
we can't be mad at them or look down upon them for doing that. We have to
No.
just be like, man, that's a tough situation. And
Yep.
hopefully, things work out for them, right?
But that's it. But I feel like a lot of people, and I notice it even when I'm scrolling through Instagram, like the comments that people make to other people,
It's so
like,
horrible.
can we just be a little bit nicer to each other, like in general? And it's not people make bad choices all the time. I've made tons of them, but
Yeah.
like you can't fault people for taking action in their lives. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like yes, and to your point, like I had some clients who needed to move because they needed the space. And like
Yeah.
during COVID, when we're all locked down with our children, you really spent a lot of time in your house to say like, wow, this isn't working for me. And like when let's say it's a family of four and everybody's working from home, you kind of recognize that like this is not actually working for me, right? So you look for a different plan, and but fast forward, here we are, and now we just have to deal with the
Where
outcome of all of it, but I think that people are very quick to judge others,
Yeah.
and it's not fair. And we should be looking to kind of help those people to say like, okay, here's a solution. Have you thought of this? It's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
be kind, be
Yep,
nice.
it's true.
It's
It's
free.
true. It's true. And you made a great point. So many people had to expand their space. Some people had in-laws coming to live with them. Some
Yeah.
people had all kinds of that stuff, right? So you're sitting there and you're like, not everyone was able to just stay where they put. They had
No,
to make a decision to expand. Now, what we have to hope is those people who are able to withstand long term will obviously make their money back, or make
totally.
money on it, because that you have to now go long term if you can, right? With
Yeah.
anything that was purchased then, because you know the market will keep moving forward. It's just the way it's cyclical, right?
Yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, we can't fault people for making
No.
decisions, and
No.
I feel bad for those people, and I'm hoping they'll all find ways to navigate through this without getting hurt too much.
Totally.
What do you do, right?
It is the reality for, I think it's coming down to a point now where I think we're really starting to see some of that, like the distress kind of sales and
Yeah,
different things. And so it's really unfortunate.
it is unfortunate,
That's it. Yeah.
and I hope
Yeah.
that I hope that most of you can somehow find a way to hold on to those places.
I
There's a
know,
light at
I
the end of
know,
the
I
tunnel.
know. Yeah,
There's a light.
there is a solution for everything. It's maybe not the best one, but there's something that can be done always, you
It's
know?
true, right? It's
Yeah.
like, hang on, you can do it. It'll be fine.
Everything is gonna be
Everything
okay.
will work
It
out.
will be okay. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. On that note, I was trying to think what else is going on. Is there anything brand new happening that you need to tell people about?
Um, Brand new. I mean, not really. Like there's a ton of pre-construction projects, but like I don't see a lot of appetite for some of that. I think people are a little bit nervous,
Yeah,
to invest in some of these projects.
yeah,
And people see the value sometimes in moving in, or if it's, let's say it's an investment, if you buy that unit today, like an already built unit, you can get a tenant in there next month.
yeah,
So you're already beginning to generate some income. So I think people are a little more weary, especially when you start to see some big projects kind of go under, or
yeah,
you hear in the media some unsettling facts, and like, you know, people need to hang on to their money. So I think it's really doing your homework. It all comes down to that. And, think of the best way to generate that income.
yeah, yeah.
That's it,
I
you
love
know?
it. I love it. And and
Yeah.
and if you want to move north, I have a lot for sale right beside me.
A
You can
beautiful lot, I heard. I heard it's amazing.
you
Yes.
can build a duplex on there, and you can have an income property and live in it at the same time. There you go.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Me being shameless. And I heard there's a cottage for sale somewhere too.
Yes, we are selling our cottage. It's a beautiful cottage. I am like, really, I've got mixed feelings letting it go. I got to be honest, but we are never there.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard. It's hard in the stage of life that I am in
Yeah.
to take care of two homes. And that is the reality of it. And so I am taking my own advice. Listen, like that's what I'm trying to say and I say this to my clients, I've been there and I'm there now. And so you need to just find the best solution that works for you. That's it. It doesn't really matter what other people think.
Yeah.
You need to feel really good about it. And that's it. And just things do work out. Sometimes it takes a little longer to get to the outcome that you want,
It's true.
but it's okay. But yes, it's an amazing cottage in McTier and it's a beautiful area. We are working with a local realtor who I really, really like a lot. So again, find the relationship that works for you.
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it. That's
Yeah.
and that's the best advice right there. We'll leave it on that advice.
Okay. All
Wrap it
right.
up on that awesome advice, Julia. I love it. So one
Okay.
more shout out about who you're working with again, because it's so long I don't want to remember
Oh, come on. I'm going to quiz you about it later. I work with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services West, but I work with the Paul Nuska team here in Etobicoke. So,
it.
yeah, we're across the GTA, and it's pretty awesome. So I'm happy to be with them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Julia, thank you so much for joining me. I love that
Thank
we
you.
we did an impromptu podcast just randomly because I said, "Oh, Julia's cool. Let's talk to her."
Yeah,
And thank you for sharing amazing advice to all the listeners or watchers or whatever people are doing. It's the Chris O Show. You know where to find us. I already said at the beginning. It's all good. Thank you again, Julia. Have a great
thank you.
day.
You
And
too.
thank everyone for listening and watching. Love you people. Oh, and by the way, another shameless plug after we did our property shameless plugs. Last shameless plug. I need a sponsor. We need a monthly sponsor. Let's go. One of you businesses has money. Give me money. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Bye.